Hey, hey, hey. You're listening to Kiwi Radio. We interrupt this broadcast with a special. I actually just did another special, but got a missed call from a good favorite chap. So I thought I'd ring him back.
You rang?
Is this Craig?
You rang?
Is this Craig?
Do you want to smack round the ear? I told you before, harassment, mate.
Oh, sorry. Hey, hey, hey. KiwiRadio.nz. Mike.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy?
Hold on, can't hear you.
Not mate. As if I'm doing like a Mike in the Night New Zealand special to kind of keep your content going. You just you do a live stream, but you just play the MP3 and see what comments come in, and then that way that channel looks like it's being more active than normal. You know.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I could. Let me see when I get home because I'm at the shop right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to like my computer here isn't on good standings with me right now, so I have to kind of.
Oh, I'm just trying to come up with ways to break them. Trying to come up with ways to break the matrix.
I know what you're doing. Well, coming up with ways, dude. Where I am, it's really bad.
Well,
it's really, really, really bad. Let me see if I cut off my video with you if I get a better connection because I'm having really like a.
Yeah, cut off the video. Cut off the video.
Let me call you back. Let me call you back.
Mike in the Night.
We scattered blue light without waves, a halo that glows in our space, and we came out of nowhere. And beyond the invisible line, already.
Yep, you're just audio now.
Okay, am I better now?
Yeah, way better. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'll tell you.
I'm not sure what the hell's going on.
I'll tell you because what I tell you, I'm trying to. I'm trying to.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but let me explain it from my point of view. Okay.
Okay. Do you mind if I record this?
There's the teachers. I don't know, like school teachers here.
Yeah.
They just reached an agreement. They're going to make $135,000 a year.
Woo!
Public sector teachers, and the problem with that is I can barely afford to pay myself here at the store. Luckily, I'm not in any debt, so I'm okay. So I don't have to really pay myself a lot of money just to get by, right?
Yeah.
But these public sector workers are now. Let me explain to you what's happened. Like doctors are over almost $200,000 a year, but there's one problem, Ralphie. Everybody here makes like a minimum wage of like $11 an hour in the private sector.
Yeah.
So,
I see what you're saying.
We're in a little bit of a bind here. Let me explain to you what's going on with me. So I have to pay my provincial sales tax, but I use that money to pay my corporate tax, and I have other tax. My company carries zero debt. I have to pay $4,000 to file my taxes. Another, like $3,000 in tax returns I have to pay that I didn't even make barely any money on. Like I barely made any money. We're getting taxed to death here, Ralphie. And what I've been not even predicting, but prophesizing all these years, it's really happening, and it's happening at a full force. That private sector here in Canada, unless they're in the service industry, like fucking people over and screwing them over, like in the automotive industry, like, oh, you're going to need an entire exhaust system, but they don't even put one on, but they charge you for one, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening, Ralphie. We're dead.
Well,
like I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay here because I'm getting to a point where now all I'm working for is to pay taxes. I don't work for anything else.
Because I heard you say about the shipping. By the way, I'm gonna record this as a podcast, so and I'll edit it together. Okay. Okay. So it's just so don't get too personal. Don't tell me your bank account number because I've hit record.
No.
Okay, but
no,
anyways,
roughly, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is what I noticed. This is, by the way, the MikeInTheNight.com special podcast. Is I notice with your shipping, you're getting shipping tax to death. By the way, we're live on radio now as well. I just hit live on radio. And woo! And also we're getting your shipping is astronomical, yet if you buy something from AliExpress, it costs $1 to get it from China to New Zealand.
Right.
Do you get what I'm
For
saying?
me to ship from my store, like I've ceased all shipping as of 3 months ago. The shipping now outstrips the price of my product. Now, for people that don't know that are listening to this, I sell board games and tabletop games, and I've been doing it for many years. So many people are saying, putting their hands up, a market like that, no, we'll never survive. No, I've paid my way my entire life and bought a house free and clear and cars and lived a very good life and traveled and built a house in the Philippines. So before people say, he sells something, of course he's not going to make it with that kind of business. I've always made it with my business, always. And I've paid my way through, and I have no debt. Now, the problem I'm facing here now is I cease all shipping because shipping is more than my product. Now, we're talking shipping to Vancouver for me is about 3 hours drive. They want $70 on average for a board game, right? So that's detrimental. But I could cross the border, which is a little bit of ways, but I can cross into the United States and ship back into Canada for $12.
However, the back deals are if you buy something from AliExpress, which is China, it's $1 to get it from there to New Zealand. And it's happening not just shipping, but also anything that's getting imported to New Zealand. You get hit on import tax, right, and all that sort of stuff. But the backdoor deals are, if it's from China, it's bypassed. It's happening in food. It's happening in everything. It's not just your sector. It's like housing even. I wanted to tell you this with housing in New Zealand. And at the moment, NZ Herald is getting a kickback because the real estate agents are all pushing for new listings to be given to NZ Herald, thousands of dollars, even though no one reads that paper, yet they're funding that, and people become savvy and say, oh no, exclude NZ Herald because no one listens to that, reads that, everything's digital, so they include it in the price, you know what I mean? So Herald is being funded by government, but also property, and it's all a shit show, to be honest.
Well, why didn't they let us know that they're going to be renegotiating the rules as they went along? You know what I'm saying? Because right now we got teachers here where I live in the province of British Columbia that are making 100 or 120. They settled for 120. 100, I guess, entry, and then 135 for seniority, $1,000 a year to keep up with the overinflated housing prices we are already living in, right? So we are getting completely destroyed in the private sector, or blue-collar, family-owned business, and just the private sector is getting destroyed. We can't fund this public sector at this level anymore. It's beyond.
Do you know my property rates? My property rates raised again. So it used to be 550 New Zealand dollars per quarter. Now it's 650. Yet, I'm not getting added value for those property taxes. I ring because we live near a park. I ring for noise control. They never come, even though they do. They never pick up the rubbish. What am I paying extra for exactly? My water rates have gone up. They haven't gone down; they've gone up as well. So rates have gone up, water's gone up, and I think you hit the nail on the spot on the show. It's because not only are they taxing us to death, they're removing our options economically, and that's part of it. And when you remove the options,
but that's the problem.
That's why I want
here in with your country, and I've covered the New Zealand housing market for years extensively. That's what it's seeing a conflict in China. The West is seeing the Chinese, basically, the people of China losing their freedom. So what do? They open their doors, launder your money, bring it over. We don't even know. We don't even need to know where it came from. And that's called the Vancouver model.
Oh.
The Vancouver model was formed in 2014 in Canada to allow foreign investors to bring in their money and no questions asked, no nothing on the money, and you could just go ahead and pick up a house. But if a local Canadian bought a house and they paid in cash for it, they'd be like, you know what I'm saying? They'd be like back checked. They'd be to see why they got the money, how they got, but that's the situation we're in right now. Housing is severely unaffordable all over Canada. And people born and raised and educated in their own cities have to leave. Most people are leaving stateside, but then people are parading and having a good time that all their states in America are turning blue, and that's going to cause Amerifornia, where basically America becomes California. I'm in California, Canada. Used to be called Canada, but we're in California now. Homeless level out of control. Unemployment out of control.
Well,
the public sector gets bigger.
God bless.
More and more people go to the government for work. And that's the problem we're facing here.
God bless New Zealand, because they're doing something about it now with money laundering and for housing since 2019. And I didn't realize this until actually dabbling with property this year as well. But they've introduced contractors. There are new contracts now in New Zealand. One of them is called the one and only 7pm is the company. It's basically a contractor that tries to detect money laundering. You have to, when you're buying and selling property now, you have to submit that you're actually human. So verification, you submit a video saying 3 verified PIN numbers, and you turn your head left and stuff to verify that you're a real human being. But I looked into the company 7pm, and it's being funded by vulture capitalists. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so is it really there to catch money laundering, or is it just really friends?
I just wanted to throw something in there to add to what you just said. Hold on, I'm losing you, buddy.
Yeah, no, tell me.
Hello?
Yeah,
Sorry, I was losing you there for a sec. Okay, our problem, one of our major problems is we've already had several money laundering investigations done in Canada, and they've been canceled almost. That actually went off. The phone went off. Okay, so basically, what's happened is they had to shut down all the money laundering investigations, because they were looking at putting almost 200,000 people behind bars for breaking the law. So they said, that's not going to look good for Canada and for investors to come in and park their money. So they stopped all money laundering investigations 3 times now in Canada.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Is it's almost like someone's done a backdoor deal and saying, "Oh, you're investigating us. Here's a suitcase. Here's a new yacht. Actually, we'll let your kids through university." There's always that, and there's a history of that as well. Because I've noticed that when you go to my local Yum Chars, which is the Asian takeaways and stuff, there's pictures of John Key, the previous prime minister, shaking hands with what looks to be Chinese owners. Like it's just the backdoor deals. You just don't know, right?
It's beyond everything. It's beyond now. Like I'm in a position right now where I'm taking money out of other areas to pay for taxes on almost no income I make because of the BS. This whole BS thing that went on for the last couple of years, right? So,
yeah. Well, they're removing people's
that's
options.
The position we're in. The private sector won't exist in 2025.
Well, that's what I fear. Yet, you have a cushy government job and you get 6 figures for, again, working for the council. The top 10, council members. Someone actually put up a website about this. They're earning 250,000 New Zealand dollars. What are they earning that amount of money for? Yet, right? Yet, innovation and things like that.
That's like 100. Yeah, that's like 170,000 American.
Yet innovation is being throttled or being bought in this case, because a lot of the New Zealand companies that we know and love, that have been around for years, what I've noticed there, Mikey, is they're all being, again, served by Asian people with masks, right? So that's how you can tell, because I put my money where my mouth is. As soon as someone's wearing a mask serving me, I just go to a different store. But you know what I mean? Like all those stores that, like the key cutting stores, right? Or the well-known, all the well-known companies that have been around for years. I've just noticed that their staff members are all different now. They're all foreigners. To a point, I actually went and bought myself some bubble tea the other day. This person didn't know a single word of English. I asked them, "What's in my bubble?"
Wow.
I said, "What's in my bubble tea? Like, what ingredients are you putting in my drink?" And he or she, I can't remember, was like saying really basic English. "Oh, or yummy. It's yummy. Like basically like really, but without answering my question. So obviously they didn't have very good English. But that's what it comes down to is I'm in an English speaking country. I wanted to talk to you about masks very briefly because I actually heard this on another podcast, Mike, if you don't mind. I want to pick your brains. With masks, right, you're breathing in CO2. You're regurgitating CO2. And
Right.
and what I heard on a podcast is, say they were in a room and, there's several people fill the room. They put out a CO2 meter, right? And actually they started feeling sick because the CO2 increased because there's more people breathing the same space. So what they did is they opened the windows and they immediately started feeling good again. So what if the masks are there so that you're breathing and recycling the CO2s, again, to propagate more sickness, as well as the boosters also, again, creating more sickness, you know what I mean? Because, like, they locked down New Zealand's economy due to one case, right? There's a mental health article at the moment by Mike King, who's a comedian. He's actually not very funny. But he's pushing that there are, every year, around 600 cases of suicides last 3 years. They're not locking people down for that. They're not locking the economy down for 600, yet they'll happily lock down an economy for one case of COVID. Like, those numbers are so skewed, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, right? If it's really about our health, because New Zealand's being throttled. This is misinformation, so we're being throttled.
What's that?
It's because this is misinformation and we're being throttled. So that's why I put that idea out for you, is to put a couple of the MP3 pre-recordings and just chuck it up on Odyssey, because you're obviously in Canada, you're a different territory, and I'm just trying to find ways to break the matrix, and because I'll give you another example there, Mikey. Are you ready? This is how we broke the matrix.
Yeah.
You know how I've been doing that weekly music show of mine, right? I asked my guests, there's a backdoor website that I use, and I won't disclose it because I don't disclose all the tools of the trade in case someone's listening, but there's a way that, so if I share it on my YouTube, for example, I get no traffic because obviously I've been marked, obviously. But then if I go through a backdoor website and I get the guests to share it on their social medias, it immediately creates lots of traffic because I've got them to simulcast the stream through their social media, which is unblocked, right? Yet mine is. Do you get what I mean? Right. So, like, that's how I know I'm being throttled. Like, that doesn't make sense. I go live, no one listens, but then I get them to simulcast it on their websites, and they get multiple listeners. And, that's why I created... I used to create like Facebook groups and stuff like that. I'll tell you this, Mikey. When Facebook first created, I actually created an industry group for like musicians and things like that. It grew so big that it got the attention of things like NZ On Air and the Music Commission and things like that. They took it down. My page just disappeared. But then they created it with their own page. So, and this, I didn't get it. I see what you're saying. So... I know this has happened time and time again, but it's just trying to find ways of breaking the matrix, and it's kind of like this back and forth dance. So yeah, that's what the idea behind the whole replaying the MP3 and seeing if it gets any traffic that way, and those are just the ideas. Yeah. Anything else on your mind, buddy?
No. Hold on, you're breaking up there a little bit. Let's go back to the mask. The mask thing is like using a chain link fence to stop mosquitoes. Masks don't work; they're garbage. They never do work. And I've had doctors on the show that have to get their masks replaced in surgery every 15 to 20 minutes when they start to fog up or sweat. So the mask thing doesn't work. The mask thing is so you don't drool on someone while you're operating on them. That's all it is.
So Mikey,
exactly what it's for.
Mikey, my word salad of the day, which came in a dream this morning, are you ready? Is tax heist.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a definition about tax heist is to create the next chaos and in turn win short-term gains. Do you find that anyone that comes into power now is just in it for the short term for themselves? Like, Jacinda tenfold her net worth since coming into power. John Key, who's selling his house this year at the moment, like he made his millions through derivatives, and then they disappear. Or in the case of John Key, actually went into ANZ banking as well. So it's just short-term gains. I think
people need to remember they'll never be forgotten, right? So they'll always be remembered as that guy that did this or the guy that did that, or so people like that are going against the system or working against us and not working for the people, which they should be. They're always going to be a problem. They'll never go out and have steak like me and you. They'll never go out to a nightclub, but they've bought themselves their own basic prison system. They could have all the money in the world, but then when you can't really use it because you're afraid to go out, you've incarcerated yourself with your own wealth.
Not only that, Mikey, I heard this I was watching a documentary about the conflict of Ukraine, and there was a woman that had her house destroyed through a bomb, basically. And she said that these people that are creating these wars, they have never felt love. And when you go into the psychosis of that, it actually is true, because you can have all the money in the world. You could be Bill Gates, who's now divorced, right? Mel Gates left him, right? You could have all the money in the world but not be happy, not feel love. And I think that we almost have to feel sorry for these people.
You can't walk into a nightclub.
Well, think of Bill Gates, right, who's just now divorced. How is he getting back into the dating game and actually finding true love? Or is every woman that he meets now just in it for his money, right? Like, he's never going to find true love. And that's the sad thing.
The fact of the matter is, do you remember this was about 10 months ago or 12 months ago on Mike and the Nuggets, where Bill Gates went out for a steak dinner with some friends. Remember all the people outside the restaurant surrounding his car?
Oh, that's happening to Jacinda at the moment as well. There's footage of her at the hotel, and people are...
Yeah, so that's the problem we're facing here. That's the problem we're facing. We do. And that's why they want to start locking us down, putting us in a position where we can't talk to people, we can't have social gatherings, because they can't go to social gatherings with other people.
It's because they're not invited to the party.
That's correct.
Right? And they want to be part of the party, but they're not invited. The other point I wanted to quickly...
But nobody wants those people.
The other point I wanted to quickly thank you for this bonus podcast, Mikey. You're a true patriot, you're just... I mean, you and I, we have cards in this game, and that's called children. So this is why we're so motivated, we're so fired up. But the other thing in New Zealand is the recruitment or additional advertising for the push of military. And it's interesting where they're putting these billboards. They're putting it outside universities, outside malls, like outside the cinemas, where young people tend to gather, right? Okay, there's that. How is that different from a few months back? There was actually one protester who went outside a high school handing out flyers of quote-unquote misinformation about the vaccinations. She gets labeled a conspiracy theorist, because she's trying to connect with her community, whereas there's this push for military, and it you know what I mean? Like, we're just... Anyways, did I tell you the time... I've had a few interesting jobs in the UK. Did I tell you about the time where I worked for a call center, and it was for charities? And every time someone called, actually a new company would pop up, and I had to talk about some of the objections that they might say. And one of the objections was called the corruption index. So every charity has a corruption index. Some of the charities that would come up had 90% administration fees. So that means for every dollar that you donated, 90 cents went to some sort of administration, 10 cents went towards the cause. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I think there's been an increase of, at the moment on New Zealand media, mainstream media, there's a lot of increase about mental health. But if you read the articles, it's basically an advertisement for the charity, mental health, right? There's that, and the other push is join the military, which leads me to think that if you mentioned this, if it's not isolated to New Zealand, there's going to be some sort of hot kinetic war because, you know, you don't train for the military for funs and giggles, right?
Yeah, especially, but you know, what if they're military recruiting purposely to destroy or overinflate the public sector? And let's say New Zealand wants to set a goal by 2025 to be like Canada, like 70-80% public sector, where there's no more government. And what if New Zealand's only angle left that they could do is to just start propping up a military that's going to go nowhere, overfunded, and then bankrupt the country, right?
Well, again, to bankrupt the private sector, I think what they're doing is removing people's options. Because if you, for example, young people now, right, you know, what jobs do they have left when I go to a grocery store and it's all self-checkout? Or, you know, I go to KFC in New Zealand, right? It's all self-checkout. There's like one person serving food.
I love KFC.
There's one person serving food.
Sorry.
And then to get the food, you have to self-kiosk, right? So all these, what were traditionally introductions to the workforces, what happens when you remove those options? Well, okay, young people look around, I don't really have any options, let's join the military. And then
Well, here's the problem. No, hold on. The problem you're facing here with this, Ralphie, is because they turned minimum wage jobs that high school kids got on the summertime to high school kids got to buy their hot rod or fund their college. Those jobs became living wage jobs, minimum wage. Minimum wage became a living wage job, and they spun it as we need more money per hour to survive. But instead of college kids in between years or high school kids in between years, it was funding and immigrants to live, and immigrants from different countries would come in and work these minimum wage jobs. And the majority of them will get hired on the spot because they could be threatened by getting sent back home to their country, and they don't hire the local Kiwi or New Zealanders because they form unions and stuff like that. So the problem you're facing with these minimum wage jobs is that they turned them into living wages, and that became a major problem. And then they spun that, and they bankrupted a lot of the private sector, so they had to turn towards automation.
Yeah. Not only that, I think is my fear is I heard a stat that to control like a area, you need one military per 200 citizens. And again, I think that's what my fear is what are they ramping up for here with the recruitment of military? Because they use like the billboards always look quite fun. Like, you know, they use code words on there. It's like bubble gum and things like that. And I actually heard another podcast called Darknet Diaries, is when you join the military, there's always, when you get deployed, there's always the purple envelope and the black envelope. The purple envelope is, this is what you're going to tell your friends and family what you're doing. The black envelope comes up later. This is what you're really doing. And again, this is not fun and games. Like, they're not putting these people in military. And again, they're going to wean out the weak people and, you know, make sure they keep the ones with broken families so that the military becomes their families. But they're not doing this for fun. So, I just noticed there's a huge push for that at the moment. And when I listened to MikeInTheNight.com, you mentioned that there are other countries pushing for military as well to join. So, we're in it for a shit show.
But the thing is, Canada's military has gotten laid off, or the majority of people got kicked off because they refused to take the juice, right?
Oh yeah, but
so
not only that,
the juice. And are they looking now for people that are fully juiced to take? You know,
oh yeah,
Biden hacked a lot of military jobs the last month because a lot of military personnel was let go because they refused to take the juice. Right?
Not only that, there's also a new weapon now in the military, and that's cyber warfare, when you can hack into systems and bring down an entire company, right? And so that kind of thing, and hack into things. So there's a lot of hacker type roles in the military, but also the kinetic stuff is all being replaced by drones or robot dogs as well. But they always need sort of like, my take on it is they always need 50-50. Like if you're in a battlefield, you know, you need 50% humans, but the other 50% can be robots, you know? That's my take on it.
I hear you, yes.
Mikey, anything else? Thanks for this bonus podcast, by the way.
I just wanted to, like,
Tell the
we've been
by the way,
trying really hard on Mike in the Night with more solutions, right?
and speaking of solutions,
really
by the
tough,
way,
like,
Mike. Sorry to interrupt you. You've got 2 minutes, and there's 12 people listening to the radio station right now. So if you're listening in on Thursday, 3rd November, 10:30 a.m., we're actually live. But you can listen to this pre-recorded as well. So tell those 12 people in 2 minutes where they can find you and some of the solutions.
Odyssey, Odyssee, Odyssey.com. Odyssey, just go to Odyssey, the way I spelled it, Odyssee. Type in Mike Martins or Mike in the Night, you'll find the channel. We are heavily shadow banned on there too, but you can find us on there, and we do Mike in the Night every Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And that's what, Sunday, 1 p.m. your time?
Sunday, 2 p.m. New Zealand time.
I can't remember. Okay, so Sunday, 2 p.m. New Zealand time. So, yeah, we've been doing Mike in the Night religiously for several hundred episodes now. So if you can join us and call in, be part of the channel, contribute. And we don't screen any of our callers, and we do our thing. We've been trying so hard to get the message out there for so long that hopefully somebody can see our flag up in the air and say, it's time that the people take their lives back, so to say,
Yeah, and
that's what we've been trying to do all these years on Month of the Night.
And the thing is, and I've said this before, you and I have really important cards in this game, and that's called children. And that's what I fear. And Mikey, thank you for being on the show. I'm going to outro the podcast with a Radiohead track called House of Cards. And I want to thank you again for doing this podcast, this bonus.
Anytime, buddy. Just give me a call. I'm always here for you, okay?
Okay, and listen to Mike Martins on Odyssey. Add him on Skype, Mike Martins 1980. Join the live show Sundays, 2 p.m. New Zealand time, or head over to mikeinthenight.com/radio, otherwise known as kiwiradio.nz. And that's the plug. Here's the song. Thanks, Mikey. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We are good friends, so the show is about going through this together. It's like almost an AA, Alcoholics Anonymous thing, but it's like the woke. You know what I mean? Like it's getting,
that's exactly what
it's getting crazy, but you're so important. You've become a really important part of my daily week. So thank you.
Thank you, Ralphie.
God bless you. God bless Mike Martins.
I don't wanna be your friend. I just wanna be your lover. No matter how it ends, no matter how it starts, forget about your house of cards. I'm now dynamite. Forget about your house of cards. I'm now dynamite. And fall off the table, get swept under. Infrastructure will collapse from voltage spikes. Throw your keys in the bowl, 'cause your heart's blown goodnight. Forget about your house of cards, and I
tuned into kiwiradio.nz. You know, radio really is king at the moment. It's like the good morning Vietnam. People are put into power promising you, over-promising things. Just think back about the last couple of leaders that we've had. What value have they actually given us? Or have they just created more and more taxes to kind of create their lifestyle and maintain the continuity of their lifestyle in governments? And that's really where we're at. So thank you again, Mike Martins, for doing that really impromptu podcast. And thank you very much. If you'd like to support the radio station, head over to kiwiradio.nz, chuck us $2 New Zealand or something every month or whatever, and hopefully you still have a job. I certainly don't at the moment. Well, I've got being a dad is a job, but I don't know. When I go re-enter the workforce, it's going to be a scary reintroduction for me because I'm kind of out of the loop. What are they going to be doing with the mandates, and what are they going to be asking me to do this and that just to kind of keep a job? What options will I have? I really feel for Mikey because he's a business owner, hardworking himself, and he's being throttled as well in the private sector and being taxed to death. So hopefully we can get through this together. And it's certainly a lot easier when you're not having to do this alone. So thank you for being part of the community. Please reach out if you're in New Zealand. There's 12 people listening in now. Please get in touch. Head over to the contact page. Say that you've been tuning in, or actually find a way to connect with me. That'd be fantastic. kiwiradio.nz, and that is the podcast for today. We have spoken. To prepare a nation for war, you must first instill in everyday life hatred, fear, racism, and divide. Remember the blueprint. Find a way out of the matrix.